In this video, we will recall how to select objects within Indesign using selection tools, as well as explore how to select nested or overlapping objects. In addition to selecting objects, we will arrange them as well. In the previous chapters, we have explored a few ways to select objects within Indesign CS6. As a very brief reminder, remember that we can use the selection tool to select text and graphic frames as well as shapes. You can use the direct selection tool to select the contents of a frame. Finally, you can use the type tool to select text within a text frame. In previous videos, we have used these tools to select objects, frames, anchor points, images, and much more. At this point, you may be wondering, what does nested mean? Well, when a frame contains an object, the contained object is said to be nested inside a container or frame. Three common kinds of nesting are paths inside frames inside frames, and groups inside groups. It is important to be aware of exactly which objects or object attributes you need to select, which ones are currently selected, and which selection tools to use to modify selections. You control selections in nested groups by using the direct selection and selection tools, as well as the select content and select container buttons. You can select text characters using the type tool at any time, no matter how deeply a text frame is nested. To demonstrate, take a look at the group objects I have on the page displayed. We will discuss how to group objects in a subsequent video. For now, notice that when you nest objects or place objects on top of each other on the same layer, it can be difficult to select a single object or frame. Notice that I can't just select my intended object with ease because I oftentimes select a different one. The Object menu and Context menu contain selection options to make it easier to select the object that you want. First, use the Direct Selection tool to select the group or nested object. If you're having a hard time selecting what you want, you can always use the following methods. You can select the Object menu, and then select an option from the drop-down list, such as First Object Above, Next Object Above, Next Object Below, Last Object Below, and Container. You can also position the pointer over the object you want to select and right-click on a PC or Control-click on a Mac to display the context menu. Then choose Select, and then select your desired option. It is important to keep in mind that selecting objects using the context menu commands is different than using the object menu commands that we previously mentioned. From the context menu, the selections are based on the exact point where you click to display the context menu. This means that the next object above or below the mouse click would be selected, rather than the next object in the stacking order. Your next option is to hold down Control on a PC or Command on a Mac, and then click the same place repeatedly until you've selected the frame or group you want. Just be sure to steer clear of anchor points. Finally, if you'd like to select all objects in a group individually, you can use the Selection tool to select the group, click the Select Content button on the Control panel, and then choose Edit Select All. Next, I'm going to reposition my objects so that they're stacked one on top of another. If I wanted to progressively drill down or up through a stack of objects, I could do one of the following. I could right-click on a PC or Control-click on a Mac and then choose an option from the Select Context menu as described earlier. Could also choose Object, then Select, and then Next Object Below or Next Object Above repeatedly until the object you want is selected. You could also hold down Control on a PC or Command on a Mac and click the stack to drill down from the top of the stack. When you reach the end of the stack, the selection starts over at the top of the stack. To select multiple nested objects, simply activate the Direct Selection tool, click the nested object, hold down the Shift key on a PC or a Mac, and then click each additional object that you want to select. Finally, I'll discuss the options located on the Select submenu located within the Object menu. First Object Above selects the object at the top of the stack. Next Object Above selects the object just above the current object. Next Object Below selects the object just below the current object. Last Object Below selects the object at the bottom of the stack. And Content selects the content of the selected graphics frame, or if a group is selected, it selects an object within the group. You can also click the Select Content button in the Control panel. Previous Object and Next Object selects the next or previous object in the group if the selected object is a part of a group, or if an ungroup object is selected, it selects the next or previous object on the spread. Now we'll discuss arranging objects within our document. Overlapping objects are stacked in the order in which they are created or imported. You can also use the Arrange submenu to change the stacking order of objects. Although we will discuss working with layers in a later video, keep in mind that the Layers panel also helps determine the stacking order of objects. The order of each layer in the Layers panel determines whether objects in a layer appear in the front or behind objects on other layers. The order of objects within each layer determines the stacking order of those objects within that layer. So to arrange objects without working with layers, first you must select the object that you want to move forwards or backwards. I actually have 3 different objects here on my page. Because the blue rectangle is behind the other 2, it makes it difficult to see. This is where changing the arrangement of my objects comes into play. Let's say that I want to have these rectangles stacked so that the biggest is in the back, the second biggest, which is the pink, is in the middle, and then I want to bring the blue one all the way to the front. First thing I'll do is select the pink square, and I have a few options. First, I can move the object to the front or back of the stack by selecting the object menu, selecting Arrange, and then choosing Bring to Front or Send to Back, or Bring Forward or Send Backward. In this case, I don't want to send the pink square to the back, I just want to send it backwards. Clicking Send Backward will make this object the second position in my stack. If I were to choose Send to Back, I would no longer see the pink rectangle because it would be behind the red rectangle that's bigger than it. So I'm going to select Send Backward. Notice now that because we moved the pink rectangle back, the blue rectangle can be seen. If for any reason I wanted to, let's say, bring the red rectangle to the front and not see the other 2, I would select the red rectangle. I could right-click on the red rectangle, select Arrange, and then select Bring to Front. Just keep in mind that moving a selected object forward or backward will bring it past the next object in the stack rather than moving it all the way to the back or front. This concludes our tutorial on selecting and arranging objects. Without using the techniques demonstrated in this video, managing objects within your document could be frustrating and time-consuming. So be sure you're comfortable with these skills before moving on to the next video.